Listen up.
You are now listening to Inside the Nation Radio, brought to you by us, bringing you everything from current events to what's really happening in your bedroom. Turn up the volume.
Turn me up.
And let's discuss.
Welcome back to Inside the Nation Radio with our special guest, Nubreed, and my co-host, Darash and Tiara. What's going on, family?
Hey, shalom, man. It's an honor and a blessing to be on the podcast. I seen y'all's last show, and I was really looking forward to this. So I just want to thank y'all for having me on. What's going on with y'all?
Not much, man. We had Ari Spears last time, and then we also got Dr. Boyce Watkins, and we trying to that'll be premiering this Thursday, and then we got a slew of guests lined up, man. A lot of people that I think the viewers are really gonna enjoy seeing, you know what I mean? So, but I got my brother on here today, Nubreed, man. It's a pleasure to have you on here, man, because you've been doing some big things, man, that people don't know, man. Before we get started, man, y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. All right, because this one we got to get circulating around. If y'all don't already know, y'all know how YouTube do it. Hit the like button. Y'all hit that like button. What happens is it gets into the algorithm. Everybody get a chance to see the show. And you know what I mean? Everybody get to know we here. We doing this. And we got the big bro on here today, Nubreed. Hey, before we get started too far along, go ahead and tell us, how can we get up? Where you at? How we get in contact with you? What do you do? Fill us in.
All right, absolutely. You can find me on Nubreed Global Truth via YouTube, Nubreed Music and Motivation via YouTube, patreon.com/Nubreed. I'm on Instagram at Nubreed404. And you can reach me by email as well, kingbreed404@gmail.com. And pretty much what I do is I like to enlighten people from all walks of life, bringing forth some truth. I know some individuals deem a lot of things that's reality right before us. They deem it as conspiracy, but actually I try to stimulate thought. What I want people to get from my shows and what I do on my podcasts and my videos is to walk away thinking. At the very least, be thinking. Something is planted, a seed that's planted where you can see the world a little bit differently after you watch one of my videos. My mission statement is to motivate, inspire, and pretty much bring some togetherness with our people in general, with people in general, all people from all walks of life.
Speaking of that, inspiring, man, I've been following you for quite some time, and man, the messages you be putting out there are very inspiring, and a lot of people think so because you have a pretty big following. And let's be honest, man, once you grow that following, it's almost easy to grow a following, but it's hard to keep a following, right? And you haven't been going backwards; you've been going forward, which means the words that you've been putting out there are definitely that they're working, So. With that being said, man, we're glad to have you here. And man, listen, y'all don't pay no attention to our little ticker down in the bottom left corner has Darash. We ain't over with yet. It's supposed to be an hour. It was my mistake. I put a minute, I think. But anyway, with that being said, man, hey, Tiara and Darash, these are my co-hosts. Tiara, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Tiara, founder of Mamas at Home. I'm looking forward to the conversation. Have some really interesting questions for you.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward as well.
I can only imagine what she gonna. I can only imagine type of questions coming out. I can tell like your content is that's up her alley. That's it right there. Darash, man, how you doing, man?
Everything's on the table. You know what I'm saying? All inclusive. Y'all can ask whatever come to mind.
That's what's up. What's going on with you, Darash? Nah, I can't hear you, brother. Can't hear you.
What's going on, y'all? My bad. I don't know what just happened, but man, definitely looking forward to the interview. Let's see what we get up out of this.
Man, let's jump right in. I got questions, man, because I know you've been covering this. It's a hot topic right now. Everybody's talking about it, and it doesn't seem to be fading away. It seems to be getting deeper as the days pass. And we're talking about the situation with Kanye. And we're talking about the situation with Kyrie. Man, speaking with Ye, and I know you covered this as well. He just recently, a few days ago, came out and he dropped some knowledge. He kind of dropped the things that a lot of us have been kind of wondering behind the scenes. Anyway, we've been trying to figure this stuff out because there's clues, right? And we putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And he just came out and said it. Yo, they sacrificed my mama. Yo, they doing sacrifices over here. Man.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Man, Ye has been he's been leaving little breadcrumbs for a minute too within his music.
He
Actually,
has.
back to a few songs, man. I went and listened to St. Pablo, a song by the name of Yikes. If you listen to Spaceships, I mean, he was leaving little truth nuggets within the music, and it really is exemplified now that he's coming out saying certain things. He's dropping nukes on the industry, and he's really exposing all. And I think that he's putting a mirror up on society as a whole. And I think he's been nothing short of audacious. He's handling his business. He's breaking all type of oaths, and we get to finally understand the inner workings of that industry, because it's a very, very dark place. And I don't even think people understand how sinister it can really be. And when he talks about his mother being sacrificed, he didn't word it in a sense of I sacrificed my mother. He said she was sacrificed. Meaning that industry can be so dark. The energy cultivated, bystanders and family that's connected to it, they end up missing. They end up
exactly.
So
I'm glad you said that, though. You pointed that out. You said, because most people, I've been seeing like Facebook posts, see, he admitted he sacrificed his mom. He never said he sacrificed
it wasn't his
mother.
way. He didn't say that.
Never said that, right? He said she was sacrificed, but he did mention some people who. So when he started mentioning names, right? When he started mentioning names, he said, and he wasn't holding back. We heard Jay-Z, we heard Beyonce, we heard these names, and they had a relationship, but Jay-Z disassociated himself just like everybody else when it's, we know how to go. We know the game. We know y'all right now it's a either you stand for me or you stand against me type deal going on right now. And they're picking their sides. But when he said that, I thought it was very, very interesting because it brought everything together collectively for, us to form a full thought. This stuff is really happening. And they're trying, well, he's crazy. Yeah, anybody crazy. What you think? Yeah. Like anybody can be crazy. If I say, oh, he's crazy, are you gonna be crazy because I say you crazy? What proof do we have of that? I mean, he said some things that you might not always agree with, but
But my bad. Go ahead, Nubreed.
I would say I would think he would know because he's in that industry. He's experienced it. So people outside of the industry who are going in the comment sections and labeling this guy crazy, listen, you should believe the person who has firsthand experience, who's been bumping shoulders with other fellow billionaires and been in close confines with these people. So I understand that mentality in itself. People throwing them under the bus.
But what's crazy is, and it kind of blows my mind that I guess Kanye actually explained why Drink Champs took it down. But Noriega, he did an interview years ago. Maybe it wasn't that long ago, but he did an interview and he was basically talking about, I never made it all the way there because I got to this fork in the road. He said, and on one side it was some homosexuality, doing some stuff like that. On the other side, it was some sacrifice, some I don't know what to call it, but some like type sacrifice type thing. He said, I just kept going. I went this way, and that's why I never made it. So,
wait, you say this was Noriega?
Noriega said this, yes.
God, I missed that one. You gotta send me that link. I gotta check that out.
Nori said that. What was I watching? I'm so upset. It was an interview that he did. I might have actually, man, social media is a tell-all. It might have been on TikTok, but somebody had took that clip and it was probably like 4 or 5 minutes. And he was sitting there talking about that particular thing. He said, I got to this point, this fork in the road, and there was 3 ways to go. One was, sacrificing or something like that. The other one was, I ain't gonna say exactly, but like homosexuality type. He said, I don't know, because I went the straight way. And that's why I didn't make it like I felt I should have made it, because I didn't take one of those roads. He said that.
Yeah, we talk about the doors, the different doors of Hollywood. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What you think about that, bro? You think, let's say he would have took that road. Let's say, okay, you got, homosexuality on the left, you got sacrifice on the right. Had he chose one of those roads, do you think Nori would be one of the premier rappers, that we know when we think back through the rap history?
Well, I do believe that Nori is not talking about as many doors that actually exist. He threw up a couple of doors.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe personally that, it's more doors, because I got certain friends who, been in the industry. And, you got humiliation doors. You got, the sacrifices, the rituals. You got the door where you're just selling your people out, where you're being a misrepresentation of your entire race. I mean, there's many doors that you can go through. So I would say that with how Nori pretty much threw, let's say how it is, he threw Ye under the bus, right?
Right.
That pretty much caused the firestorm. So, and he went apologizing to certain people and things of that nature. That was humiliating to me. That seemed to be a ritual in itself, that you're basically bowing before certain groups of people because you were within your rights to actually have that man on the show and let him speak freely. And before the show even started, listen, our sentiments over here on Drink Champs, they don't have nothing to do with Kanye West sentiments. We're just doing our job. We're hosting the show.
Right.
So,
right.
But even,
yep.
I was going to say, but even during the interview, this is what made it funny. Even during the interview, everything that Ye was saying, Noriega was like lit up. So how is it that on one hand, it's man, we had to take it down. This is Drink Champs, not Think Champs. And he made it sound like it was such a bad thing. But when you guys were having the conversation,
exactly,
you were so engaged. Even if you didn't agree, because the thing was, it wasn't like it was just a whole bunch of disagreement. Even if you didn't agree, you were full blown engaged. And a lot of what he was saying, you were agreeing with. But then all of a sudden you switch up. But Kanye said it too. He said, they don't cut my checks. They cut Nori's checks.
That's
so
Massa showed up and he had the social whip, the financial whip. He had all that in. What you think, Sierra? Massa showed up. Am I wrong by that?
No, you're not. What is the most interesting to me, and I noticed this after that video dropped, was the reaction from the people. So you have Kanye come out and actually tell you the truth to what's going on, and you still have people talking about, oh, he's just crazy, and if you believe him, you need your meds too. But what people don't realize is human sacrifice is not a new concept. They've been doing it since almost the beginning of time.
Antiquity,
I think people have gotten so comfortable in these bubbles that they live in that even when reality is staring them in the face, they still can't see it. And I'm like, it's amazing. Like, what can somebody say to you to get you to realize what is happening? It's real.
But Bree, now tell me, that's a part of the plan, though. Let's teach society that 2 + 2 = 6. And this, I always use this example. Let's teach society that 2 + 2 = 6. So when critical thinkers like myself, like yourself, like Tierra, like Darash, start thinking about this stuff, we say, wait a minute. No, 2 + 2 is, I'm pretty sure it's 4. Oh, he's crazy. He needs meds. The whole world. Right. But since we've been brainwashed to believe it's 6, then the rest of the world going to look at us like we some buffoons.
Exactly. It's a term called ideological subversion. There were certain people from the Soviet Union that released a.
I'm glad you finna break that down.
They really break it down for sure. And it's like ideological subversion is pretty much when they can basically take away logic from society by giving you so much misinformation and disinformation and immorality. And when a society is immoral, there's certain laws passed through Congress, when there's certain things going on and people become immoral, the idea is that they can no longer grasp the concept of logic. So the media and people who manipulate and control behind the scenes, they're able to put these things out, and people will never put 2 and 2 together when you can actually see something. Imagine watching something, hearing something, getting concrete evidence, getting concrete facts. I mean, there's all kind of history on certain topics and certain things, and you still have this cognitive dissonance where you cannot connect with it. And this is what they've been doing for a long time. And the goal is to turn society into nihilism, utilizing communism, a socialist society, so to speak. And that's what we have going on, where the court of public opinion, not facts, not the court of public truth, not what's reality, but the court of public opinion becomes the law of the land. And that's a dangerous society to even be a part of.
Man, but feelings over facts.
Right. That's an amazing truth you just told there. Hey man, y'all make sure I hit that like button, man. Hit the subscribe button. It's about to go down right now. And like you said, Reed, it's like when he was telling people, still speaking of when he was telling people, hey, listen, they set me up. They drugged me. they're trying to destroy my reputation. Okay, yeah, you're making this stuff up. We don't really believe it. Okay, text message receipts. Still not enough. People are still questioning like the fact of if this real or not. Like we have text message receipts and he's showing you what's really going on, but people are still stating that he's off his rocker.
And he outed his handler, the name, even, and then some people did some more research into this Harry Henry guy, his handler, and come to find out he has ties and basically psychological warfare to where they're linking him directly to mind control and MK Ultra. So it's coming out and people are still just oblivious.
Whoa. So he has connections to this stuff?
Yeah, they linked him to, I want to say it was like the Canadian military psychological operations. And doing a little bit more digging, that's what he does. But he's a personal trainer. Okay.
You and your conspiracies, Tia.
Oh, you know I love a good conspiracy.
That stuff ain't real. It don't exist.
That don't sound like it. That don't sound like something we would do.
So with that in mind, I want to pose an interesting question. Because I'm hearing it in the Twitter streets that a lot of people do agree and believe that Kanye has broken free, but is there also a chance that he might be controlled opposition who is just being allowed to say as much as they're allowing him to say, or do we think that he's completely broke free?
This man is unfiltered. I don't know. Like I feel like it's not like a situation where he's only giving nuggets. Like he's throwing everything out there. So to sit there and say, "Oh, he's still controlled opposition," I can't agree with that.
Yeah, it's hard to agree.
It's very hard to believe.
Yeah, what you think about it, Breed?
Yeah, I'm going to kind of lean towards what Darash just said as well. I mean, he's not just throwing little shots. He kind of like throwing haymakers at this point. Because when you start talking about, when you start naming names and you start going right at the red media, you know. But what I will say, I think that the media uses Ye and he uses the media. And I want to make this make sense. The whole political agenda, so to speak, when he got involved in the White Lives Matter hat, having different controversial things put out there for the right side, the Republican side, I think that he was using that to actually get his message across because it's controversial in itself. And the climate of society where it's a lot of liberalism, left-wing agendas. And this guy, he got a MAGA hat on. He's doing all of this. He's being cited with Trump and all of those things. But if we pay attention to after he started blasting certain people, even Trump had to come forth and like, listen, I ain't got nothing to do with that. So just to see everybody distance themselves like that, I'm going to say that he's going into this true full-fledged. He's standing on his beliefs, sort of like, what people we personally stand on our convictions, even within families. You see the same thing take place. People turn their back, you lose people, you lose the support. People ain't calling to check up on you no more and so forth. So right. I think he's going all the way in.
But so it was
hold on real quick. Let me ask this before you leave that point. Like you're saying, well, people are like, he's going all the way in. And people are kind of getting nervous for the safety of Ye right now, right? Yeah. Now, are you guys familiar with you remember, I don't know a full name, maybe y'all may, Helen, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the auntie, the sister of Vivian, right? She had an interview and she's talking about Ye, right? And she says, you need to shut your effing mouth. Be quiet. And then she says, baby, go get help. Call me, come talk to me. And people are like, she's on that train. We can't say it on YouTube because they're blocked, the COON train, whatever. So I didn't see it that way. Let me tell you how I saw this, right? I'm looking at her, I'm listening to her, and it's not like a sellout train, although most people interpreted it that way. It was more like, I know the trouble you finna get yourself into, train. Stop.
Fearing for his life.
Mm-hmm. But we sometimes when we were supporting, we don't stop and look at the logical aspects of anything. We just get angry. We want the support. Either you're for us or you're against us. But sometimes there is a gray area. And it looked like she was delving in that gray area saying, baby, be careful. Come talk to me.
But he kind of already put it out there that, you know, if something happens to me, it's because I did X, Y, and Z.
And she seems like she knows that something is very possible to happen, very likely.
But the way that he almost gave himself like an insurance policy. I already said that they gonna kill me, or this is gonna happen to me because I'm doing this. So if he dies mysteriously, I don't care if they try to deem it suicide. I don't care if they try to deem it overdone. It won't. He already put it out there. I'm not gonna do any of this. If something happens, they did this. So that's honestly why he's been able to do what he's been doing. Because he even said you can't send your Meek Mills, your little Boosies at me. He said because they're all under these individuals' thumbs because they got paperwork on them. They, you know, I ain't never killed nobody. I ain't never did this. I ain't never did that. So I could say what I want. Right. And they can't send nobody for me.
Right.
Go ahead. I think he's in a conundrum. He's in a very complicated position.
Yes.
The media is also using him for ratings because he's a polarizing figure. He's been on multiple TV shows. I mean, there's a lot of people that stand to gain from Ye even to this day.
Yeah.
Even though he's blasting, there's certain people that have their own motives, and it's always about money. You know, they'll have him on the show. They'll do all these things. And I think he's playing it smart by staying in the public eye. Yeah. Stay in the media because these individuals who do these rituals and sacrifices, they have a code that they live by too. And I think Ye understands the code of silence and secrecy, and they don't they move with sleight of the hand. So if he's always in the media, he's always on TV speaking the truth, and they were to do this in the height of the controversy, it would just scream red flags. It would create public outrage, and that's not how the elite tend to move from my observation of studying people do things. Right. And I also think there's a level of fearlessness that came over Ye, and I don't think he's too much concerned with it because he's speaking bold as a lion, and the truth that he has learned over the years, it has changed him. He stated on occasions, look, my mom's not here no more. It's up. I mean, that's how it tend to be. He's lost his family. He's been through various civil cases and humiliated on TV, destroyed through the media. Sometimes a man get to a point where it's like, all right, whatever take place, I'm going to die on my sword, so to speak.
And that's what I like what you said in one of your most recent YouTube videos when you said they can only kill his body. And I think that he understands that. And it seems like he is willing to die to get that truth out. And you can't help but to admire it. And I hope that it sets an example for a lot of the other people in the industry to see someone with such courage who is willing to stand up and risk their lives to finally break free and be like, no, this isn't right. I have to tell people the truth. Right.
And as you said, Bree, like, you know, the elite have a way they move. This is at the height of the controversy. We take him out now, we create, he's a martyr. We create more followers. This is something that in the first time we've kind of seen in our history, the quote unquote African-American history, quote unquote African-American. I got to do the air quotes. Right. This is the first thing we see in our history. Right. We're kind of banding together a little bit. So if they do that right now, and what brings me to Kyrie, he's really standing his ground. He is not backing down. Hey, look, okay, you want me to apologize? Okay, cool. All right, listen, I'm sorry if something hurt you, whatever. But I think he selected his words carefully. And when he first did so, a lot of people were like, oh, he backpedaled. But then when people started listening to it again, no, he's standing his ground. And he's really doing what he needs to do as far as, okay, I know I don't have home field advantage. All right. I'm the visiting team. So you're going to get all the calls. You're going to get the referees are going to be on your side. So I know I got to walk meticulously in everything that I'm doing. But he's really standing his ground. He's another one. And it's like, I'm not going to lie. The more I see, us as a community start to come together and support, it's making me proud of my people a little bit. You know what I'm talking about? Now, some of us still, I don't know.
Everybody can't go.
Everybody can go. Everybody won't go.
Right. And I think with the Kyrie situation, although he may have apologized, I tend not to focus on the apology itself. Like some people, they got this real judgmental type of spirit, but they're not in the same position as that person. Right. And people tend to overlook the seed that was planted opposed to watering the seed. Hold up. He put what out there? Let me figure out what this is about. Let me do my research and my due diligence, see if I can utilize practical application. Use
Awesome
this for
point.
my life to make some changes, opposed to just thinking that we're going to have a savior out of one of these celebrities. That's not a practical way of thinking. And a lot of people are looking for a savior. And for my personal beliefs, there only could be one of those, only could be one savior.
Absolutely.
But you're going to have people who are going to be out there who are going to put out information. And I just oblige people to do their research and, stand on what was planted.
And saying what you just said, that's the same thing that goes for Deshaun Jackson when he was playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. He said the same thing. We have Nick Cannon, who also said the same thing. But when they apologize, instead of the black community looking at what you just stated as far as the seed that was planted, instead of them doing that, they jumped on their backs. Now you have to understand, for example, Nick Cannon. When we say these circles and these rituals and different things that happen that is now being confirmed to actually happen, when we say these things run deep, we have to understand they actually run deep. So we don't know what they threatened Nick Cannon with. We don't know if we see the Wild and Out show, right? Oh, well, they just took his show. I was stood on my ground. We don't know if that was it. It could have been your wife, your children, your parents, your siblings. It could have been, these things can go deeper than we understand. And as Tiara said earlier, we act like we're just oblivious to this stuff actually happening when it's been happening ever since antiquity, So it's like, instead of us as a community supporting, we are quick to condemn. So I am proud that, all right, we didn't do it then, but we're doing it now, And that's one thing that I hate about what they say about Ye. Oh, well, he did this in the past. I don't care. What is he doing
that about Kyrie
now?
too? They did the exact same thing with him. And it's like he's learning. Like, that's stupid.
You're not allowed to learn.
Look at his shoes. Look at his shoes. Look at his tattoo. Look at the ring that he wears. Okay, and a lot of y'all did the exact same thing until you started to learn that this is the direction I should be going. It's a mess.
Exactly. Think about where you were 5 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, we weren't here.
And I think people, they don't understand or realize that these individuals who spoke out, it's already humiliating enough that they're being browbeaten for having, for just doing research. Because from what I've seen, he was just doing research. He's made it clear that he's an omnist and he believes in various things and what have you. But, I believe he knows certain things, but it's humiliating enough for them to have to deal with having to backtrack and capitulate on things that they are learning and studying, and then have to turn around and have to deal with our people sitting there condemning them. So I just oblige people to do better. We got to do better and use the information and study, because this society we living in is almost becoming like Fahrenheit 451 with Michael B. Jordan. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't want you to do research. They don't believe that the American people are smart enough to disseminate information and study on their own and come to a conclusion. Like, what's next? Borders bookstore is gone. I mean, what they gonna do next?
Dystopian society.
Yeah, they're taking everything away that helps you gain knowledge. That's been taken. And I remember Einstein had a quote. He said, "I fear that technology may create a generation full of idiots." And I'm like, wow, because I'm trying not to fall into that category of the idiot, because, hey man, what's your mother's phone number? It's on speed dial. I don't know no more. And we take for granted the small things like that. But even small little things, remembering is brain exercise. That's exercise for your brain. But when you stop using your brain, you start noticing, whoa, I'm not reading as much. I don't remember things as well. And I think back to that quote, we're making a generation full of idiots. And this is why we have to be careful too on just sitting and letting our own children just walk around like this all day with a phone or a tablet, or we got to be careful with that. So no, I definitely agree with that. But go ahead, Darash. I know you're trying to get in.
I was going to say, and it's not that to Nubreed's point. It's not that they think that we're not smart enough. They fear that we are smart enough, and that's why they're continuously doing what's called social engineering. And social engineering, and I'll actually just grab the definition really quick. It says the use of centralized planning in an attempt to manage social change and regulate the future development and behavior of a society. So they shifted the paradigm and they've transitioned us into ignorance because they fear that knowledge is power. But that's why they have made such a strong effort to make sure that in the African American and Latino community, we are going to keep you guys as dumb as possible. All of you guys' shows is going to just be drama. All of you guys' shows is going to be drug dealing and killing, black serial murder, essentially mass murder. We're going to effeminize the men. The men are always running up under the women in these shows. And all of the fathers seem very, incompetent. This is what we're going to ingrain in your mind. And your babies are watching these cartoons. Your babies are watching these TV shows. And as they get older, this is what they're going to see. And this is what they're going to think. But they're conditioning us for this.
Let me ask you this. And Bree, give me your opinion on this. You don't think we're already there? And what I mean by that is this. Okay. I agree with what you said about the feminist part. Me and my wife, we were watching that show on Netflix, The 100. And if I don't know if anybody's familiar with the 100, if you watch the show, it's a great show. But one thing you will notice is there was only like one or two male leaders in the entire show, and they die. Every leader was a female leader, and then they engaged and they wanted to bring in, everything else that today's TV drama do. But that was the feminist aspect of bringing in. So I definitely agree with that. But as far as engineering us or teaching us to be, I think we're there. I think we're there. I think they've dumbed us down, and I think
we're
it was
there.
a practice.
This may be the first generation that is like full fledged there. Absolutely.
Well, let me ask you this then. What do y'all think about this? So, if I can convince you that I found $5 in your pocket, if I can convince you that I found $5 in your pocket, instead of you believing that I stole it from your pocket, I can convince you that I found it. How would you rate that intelligence level? And what I'm asking that question because of this. When we can convince a nation of people that a man found land that people had been living on for hundreds or maybe thousands of years, and we believe he found it, although they're telling us the people were here when he got here, that's the equivalent to me finding $5 in your pocket.
And he still got a holiday where we still celebrate it.
And he still got a holiday.
It's kind of like this now because they call it Indigenous Peoples Day, but it's still some, yeah.
What you think about that, Bree?
I think that you will have a society of mental midgets because they believe.
Exactly.
And it's apparent that, not too many people are going to think outside of the box. And anybody who gives this society any constructive criticism, they are immediately put on certain red lists. They are immediately watched. They're silenced. Even, listen, if they would do that to Kyrie Irving and Ye, we watched them lose billions of dollars. We watched Ye lose billions. We watched Kyrie Irving get suspended and have to go through a course of training. We're talking about a reprogramming.
Right.
They listed 6 things on there, which is just utterly ridiculous, even to the point where Stephen A. Smith said that's ridiculous. I mean, he's a company man. But anytime they would do that to them, on a level that brothers are on who haven't signed deals with them, that we don't have to run in those certain circles. We know that numbers get manipulated, shadow bans happen, all of these things take place because, we living in a society when if you can see, no matter where your status is, it doesn't even matter. You don't have to be a social media icon. You could just be an ordinary person walking down the street that got the ears to hear and the eyes to see, and you got some consciousness to yourself. You're gonna stand out like a sore thumb because
but it's specific consciousness, Bree.
With specific consciousness, identity. Because when you look at all of this, with Ye, it's all surrounded by identity. To know who you are, you know where you're going. If you know your history, you know what's coming.
I think Darash saying specific consciousness based off
there is a specific consciousness because, for example, you could run around and say you're Egyptian all day. You can run around and say you're Kemetic all day. You can run around and say that you're NOI, which we know is an Arab religion. Not NOI, Muslim, which we know is an Arab religion. You can do that all day. But there's one particular identity you are not allowed to say that you are, because then we're going to gaslight you. We're going to throw inflammatory statements. We're going to cancel you. We are going to essentially turn society against you because now you have reached the level of, I don't know if you've seen the movie, you're now divergent.
Yes. It's a good movie.
You know, I identified as a stop sign last week. It was no problem. I did that. It was very easy to do. You know, but if I identify as if I take a specific nationality, yeah, then there's an issue.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I agree.
You can
with
be
that
a wolf.
Yeah, you can be anything you want to be,
That's
except for that. Rick, I got a question for you. Charleston White. So, I saw a clip.
I said everything was on the table, didn't I? I did say that. I'm a man of my word.
This guy, you know, I do believe he makes some really good points at times. I was talking to my wife the other day about it. I said, I'm thinking about this guy now. I thought, just sitting down and just gathering everything he's saying. Charleston White became the person, according to him, became the person that he is because he took someone's life some years back. And instead of...
I wasn't aware of that.
Oh, yeah. He used to do the gangbanging stuff. He was like, I think, a Crip, and he used to do the gangbanging stuff. Could have been a Black, one of the two. But he took someone's life. And instead of the family of the person, the man whose life he took, instead of them condemning him, they looked at him in that courtroom and said, we forgive you. And so for that, he said, man, I can't keep going on with this stuff. I thought it was very profound. You know, I can't keep going on with this. So he started changing. The problem I have now is when he says stuff about the rappers and about, you know, the gang culture, and it's a lot of it, a good portion of it is true. But I think what he's trying to do, and I'm getting to my question, I think what he's trying to do is speak harshly, tough love, to get them to realize what's going on. And I get that, but I believe he has to remember that it wasn't tough love that changed your mind. It was forgiveness. It was the I forgive you, brother. And you had a profound wake up moment. At some point, when do you do the same exact thing? And I'm asking you this because of this. There's a clip out there. And he's just going, I'm not even going to play the clip, but he's just going wild about I'm not a, you know, we can't say the word on YouTube sometimes because their bots might blank it out or block the video. I'm not a JEW, and he's going in, and neither you, and da. And he just and I love all the white people, and you stupid. You saw that. What do you think about that? It was. What do you think about that?
I think shock jock comes to mind.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people know, and I do believe that video was done over a year ago, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I remember actually seeing that video some time ago, and I think it resurfaced because the strange part about it is he did come into the defense of Ye as well. And he said some inflammatory statements, even defending Ye against those group of people, the red people. So I don't know if he's learning or, you know, or it's a situation in which he just says things to get the attention from everybody, because this is the awakening is a growing demographic of people. And I feel like he's a bit shock jockish. That's not really the type of content that I specifically tune into.
Right.
Every now and then I'll get some story that is sent to me and I'll check it out and I'll kind of shrug it off. But I do think that video was maybe a year ago. And even that statement where he was coming into the defense of Ye, and he was saying stuff about those people. He was saying some crazy stuff that anybody else, if they would have said it, they'd have been removed immediately, which leads me to believe that he could possibly even be a plant. I mean, you know, it's like that. Social media is a wild place. Like,
right.
There's individuals that's just put in place to generate controversy. I don't have nothing. I don't know that man personally, so I'm not trying to, like, you know, create nothing out there. I really don't watch him like that. And, you know, that's pretty much my sentiments on Charleston White.
No, and that's fair. That's fair. Like I said, he say some things that you're like, all right, most of the stuff is true. But man, it got to be two aspects to things. You know, it got to be a forgiveness part. Now, I know he had a a video apologizing to what is this Crip Mac, that was so I know you're capable of it, but man, if you ever come across this video, at least try the other side sometimes, because the hardcore, the tough love, it ain't for everybody. You got kids. Some kids can.
Right. I say this, even a broken clock is right, at least once a day, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I look at that. But no, you're right though. I've seen some of his messages where he was saying some things that I agree with, things that I've said some years ago, and I can say that's true. I like the fact when he speaks about people having so much sympathy for rappers, but like even on Halloween, there was 14 people shot on the west side of Chicago.
Yeah, don't even hear about that.
3 of those individuals were children. Yes, Takeoff, he was hit as well on that night, but the story of the 14 people getting shot, 3 children in the hospital fighting for their lives, that gets swept under the rug. So I like when he points out the hypocrisy of people in that way. And I like any content creator who's doing that. I respect that, because you make enemies out of people just pointing out the hypocrisy.
Mm-hmm.
So I respect that for sure.
Yeah, I definitely, like I said, I respect that aspect as well. But if we can balance that thing out, I would love it to be balanced out, because I'm a firm believer in that you catch fish many different ways. You have 2 kids, I got 2 different type of children. One, I could say, stop, sit down. Over. The other, I'm about to pop your butt a little bit. You're a little more. I got to talk. So you got to reach people in different ways. So yeah, but to hear that video may be old. Now I definitely I didn't know that. So I'm glad you pointed that out. I'm glad you pointed that out.
I think it resurfaced. So
cool.
It looked like he changed his sentiments, and I think Charleston White is one of those guys. He remind me of one of them guys from the hood that you don't really take everything he say serious, like the media does now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, say something, everybody got something to say about it. He seems like that guy. You go out on the block drinking a beer with. He just runs his mouth sometimes, and like everything,
right?
He just. You got the internet now, and it is what it is. That would be a person I'd like to have a conversation with, personally.
Charleston White?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. What you think about Darash? He over there like oh man, why you ask me
y'all
that?
said earlier, Charleston White is definitely hit and miss, because there are certain things that he has said that I'm like, I can't even argue with you on that. And then there's certain things that he said, and I'm just like, I don't know what the hell was going on in your mind when you decided to say that.
Mm-hmm.
and so
right.
And so it really just depends. I actually haven't seen the video that you're referring to, but I do know Charleston White has a tendency to say things, and I think he's very strategic with it. I think he says things intentionally. To everyone knows controversy sells. So he's going to say some stuff. So he's going to say some things that sound very controversial. I'll give you a perfect example. This was last year, I think. I started watching Charleston White maybe like a year and a half ago, when he was talking about King Von, and when he was talking about Nipsey, all the rappers. He said, y'all talking about rest in peace to these niggas and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it was like I agreed to some extent. There were certain ones that I didn't agree with, like Nipsey. Like his old music was exactly like that. But if you look at what he did in the community, and you look at how his music transformed over time, it was like you can't really say that about this individual. But the Mo 3s, the King Vons, the Lil Durks, okay, I understand that. Right?
He did apologize about the Nipsey comments. He did.
I didn't hear that.
That's when I was saying the Crip Mac. He's out in Cali and West Coast. He's Crip, 55th Street Crip. That's what he always raps.
C-Mac special ed. Yeah. 5150.
That I ain't gonna I'm not calling special ed.
Did you say special ed?
Yeah,
I thought that was his name. I was like,
he's 5150.
I'm not gonna call him special ed. But the point is, C-Mac was like, listen, because he wanted to have a conversation with him. He was like, nah, until you apologize to, and he did. So
okay. I didn't see. I hadn't the slightest idea that he did that, but I'm still gonna stand on that. C-Mac 5150. Go watch his interview.
So is Charleston White one of those people you pretty much just got to chew the meat, spit out the bones? Because
pretty much,
absolutely,
okay, got you.
That is Charleston White.
Because I wasn't that familiar with him until I seen that video that Abiyah was talking about, and I was like, "That's disgusting. Why would you even say that out loud?" I was like, "Yeah, we're done with you." So,
Oh no,
yeah.
no. When you, it's kind of like how it's almost like how you feel about Candace Owens. Like I said, I like a lot of stuff that she says. But sometimes it's like, all right, see, I was with you for a whole week, and you decide to screw it up today.
I'm telling you, for a whole week, I was like, I love what she's saying. She's so right. And then that one thing I said,
then, she's a very intelligent sister. I know you cover her before.
Yeah.
Absolutely. She's very intelligent.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's really important for our people in general to learn how to extrapolate information from people. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It takes critical thinking to be able to do that and be like, you know what? I like what you're saying with that, but I'm going to leave that alone. But I do believe that Candace Owens is, she's doing right by the people, far as bringing certain things to the light.
She's trying. She's definitely trying.
I would liken her to a modern day Dolores Tucker, because she's pointing out some of the misogynist lyrics. She's pointing out the sexism, and she's pointing out certain things, that the hypersexualization that goes on in the music industry with a lot of these rappers, like the Cardi B's, the Meg Thee Stallions, the Glorillas. She's actually making content speaking on that, and that's the stuff I like from Candace, because we need a woman with a mic like that got a lot of attention to actually say these things and hold that mirror up to those individuals and show that you could be married, you could be classy, you could be articulate, and still have a voice in this world without, letting it all hang out and being scantily clad everywhere. So in that degree, I really respect that. And I typically would share content like that coming from Candace Owens.
But you're definitely in the minority, because most Black people just don't mess with Candace. First of all, she voted for Trump, and I won't say she speaks highly of Trump, but she agreed with a lot of his policies, which what I've learned is a lot of educated middle-class African-Americans that actually sit back and read the policies. A lot of them actually agree with Trump, but most African-Americans said middle finger to Candace Owens because she was a Trump supporter. And so what you just said is beautiful, because a lot of people, when you just hear the name, I'm not watching none of her. I'm not dealing with her. She's a Trump supporter. She's dating a white man. Right. So it's like completely thrown out the window. So I absolutely agree. We do have to learn to extrapolate information. We also have to learn to listen to information, no matter what the source is, and be able to make an educated decision on whether or not we're going to run with this. Like I said, Candace Owens, and I think Abiyah just said it, Candace Owens is a very educated young woman.
Right.
And you have to take, I know you don't like her for certain reasons, but you have to take what she says into consideration.
Right. Absolutely. I really respect a lot of her conservative values. What's interesting is that a lot of Black people don't like her views, but at our hearts, we also have conservative values. When she speaks about how, they're putting certain things into the public school system to further program our children, which is what you were talking about a little bit earlier. She's speaking about the things, she's right, but they can't get past the fact, like I said, it's feelings over facts. They can't get past their feelings, and the fact that her decision to support Trump, it just completely trumps everything else that she's saying. She's right. Intended. And exactly when she's speaking about the values of pouring into your children and being a good wife and giving back to your community, they don't want to hear any of that, and it's sad to me, and it's really disappointing.
Right, but Bree, the when you covered her, you brought out how intelligent, one, she is, and two, that she's actually doing a lot to speak up for the Black community and bring respect back to our women and show what's really happening to most of our Black men. I mean, I thought you did a hell of a job doing that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And she really did. And I tend not to focus on her political stuff. I don't really, me personally, I don't get involved in politics too much, but we needed somebody like Candace Owens to bring out receipts on BLM. She brought out receipts.
Yeah.
Now, we talk a lot about...
That's why they didn't like her right there. So many Black people supported BLM.
Exactly. Talking about these people went to the hills, moved to a ritzy conclave in Los Angeles, and we're talking about billions of dollars dispersed. Well, let's not say billions. The proof is millions of dollars have been misplaced and utilized the wrong way.
Right.
And she brought that forth. I mean, I know the truth hurts, but let's not hide in the pain of the lie, as Ye said. Let's not hide in the pain of the lie. These people did our people wrong. And just because you have your personal opinions about this individual, you got to respect the fact that she's bringing out information. And we should really consider the research that it takes and understand that people are not going to talk about our ills in our society and what we go through as people unless they care.
Right.
And that's what I think people don't understand. It doesn't matter who she's married to. Person's not going to spend their time talking about our problems and talk about solutions as well. How we can, put together some unity among the people if they don't care.
Right.
That's just how it is. So.
Right. I'm really wanting us as a community to get to that point. We need to start sitting down and examining. And once we examine, as you say, we'll see that, okay, well, and like Darash said and Tara said, we chew up the meat. Let's spit out the bones. You can't find two people to agree on everything anyway, me and my wife can't agree on everything.
In this community.
Yeah. Not even just the community, like marriage. Me and my wife, we don't agree on everything, I mean, she'd be like, all right, I'll do it. Cause you said so or whatever, but it's only because, you want to, because I really don't care to do it. Vice versa. I try and reciprocate that. But the point is, everybody don't always agree. So let's find what they are doing good and move forward with that. I had another question I want to ask you too. Sure. Brandon T. Jackson, you guys were in the works doing something together. What was that? How's that going?
Oh yeah, we still we have the Love Note system that Brandon T. Jackson is the founder of. All intellectual properties. That's Step Brothers. I joined in because I believe in that idea, and I think it's powerful for our people to have our own ecosystem. So essentially, what it is our own system, online system, in which we have a couponing service in which all up and coming Black entrepreneurs can basically, push this economy, so to speak. It's called a Love Note. And it's an amazing idea. Brandon T. Jackson, he has an amazing mind, the way he thinks and creates. He's not just an actor. He really cares about his people. And that's a brother of mine. And we're still in the works of doing these things. You can find, if you want to get more info on it, go to nubreed.love for everybody watching and get yourself a Love Note. For every $10 donation that you send, you get 1 ounce of love, and every premier merchant that comes on our site, you will get discounts on that future merchandise. So you're not just contributing to my Cash App. I took my Cash App off YouTube. You are now donating to a cause where it's going to nonprofit organizations, helping feed people, and you actually saving money at the end because this Love Note is pretty much eternal. You can use it for everything that comes on, everything like you can keep redeeming it, using it for everything that's new products and merchandise. Right. So you're saving money in hindsight by donating. So it's a beautiful concept, and it's not just you donate to me, I pocket it, or you donate to Brandon, he pocketed. No, we're actually working an ecosystem, a circle, and not a pyramid scheme. It's a circle where one hand washes the other. We like to refer to it as the power circle.
So, that's a beautiful idea, man. It's like I'm really hoping that our people get to the point where we can talk about everything except for money. Shh. Asking me for money. You know how we get when the money come involved, but we really need to get to those levels where we do create our own system like that. That's a beautiful thing, and just to speak on what you're saying earlier, you said, I took my Cash App off. I'm trying to work towards this bigger goal. It's bigger than me. And let me tell y'all, man, this brother here, he's not about just talking. This brother's been supporting me in all my ventures for, I can't even remember since we first met some years ago. I mean, it's like he's always been a very, very supportive brother. So he ain't just talking. This ain't just some YouTube talk or some podcast talk or I'm live in front of some people and I'm going to say this. The brother really does. He really practices what he preached. So, shout out to Breed. I definitely appreciate that.
Thank you, brother. And hey, listen, man, you've always been a brother to me as well. Show love and supported me as well. And that's how it's supposed to be. And it's a blessing. And I appreciate that, bro. For real. It's family.
I got another question for you before you get out of here. I did not get a chance to watch this one, but it is on my list to go back and watch because I have a son and he has been just driving me crazy about some VR goggles. I need VR goggles. Please, Daddy, buy me some VR goggles. And, of course, I'm subscribed. I watch and I was scrolling and I'm like, oh, VR goggles that kill. Whoa, what is he talking about here? I didn't get a chance to watch it yet. So I said, I definitely have to ask him about that. What was your topic? What was going on with that situation?
Yes, sir. So that's a real thing, man. The founder of the Oculus has created a virtual reality game that can kill you in real life, which is crazy. Yeah. They actually have 3 explosive charges of microwave energy inside the headset. And when a person dies on the game, they die in real life. Now, I know that sounds crazy. It sounds like some type of, I don't know, clickbait. I thought it was clickbait. I had to go do my research and be like, is this a real thing? And they got the patent numbers, they got everything. And I covered it because I'm like, what is going on where they will roll something out like this? And I remember last year, there was a death pod that actually was rolled out in Switzerland where people are paying top dollar going to Switzerland to lay in this pod and basically go to the upper room. You know what I'm saying? Get in there, go into the pod, they play some nice little music, shut the pod up, and, they giving up the ghosts. So I think that we're living in a very strange time that there's a lot of possession going on with people. There's a lot of depression going on with people.
Right.
And a lot of people out there who are suffering, and there's a dark energy going out for them to even create something like that, to the point where the guy who created it, he said he didn't even want to try the thing on to see how it works because it's that dangerous. If any mechanism goes off on it, his head is turned into a hot pocket. I'm talking about all great. So he can't even test the joint. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, in what world are they creating things like that? So I'm sort of in the video, I'm kind of bringing some scriptures for it because I like my channel is pretty much Bible based, and I'm explaining how there will be a surge of certain technology that can be real gruesome, and I also spoke in regards to how the dark web. And, we talk about conspiracies. We'll call it that for now. Mm-hmm. But I believe personally that a lot of this technology is readily available years before that they introduce it to the public.
Yes,
and
I agree.
Movies like Hostel, movies like Saw, because it sounds like something straight out of Saw, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. They already have these underground places. They have these places where people pay top dollar to see people play these games. And this is a sick world we living in. And I know that it's difficult for people to wrap their mind around it. I oblige the righteous to keep their mind right, but observe what they got going on before you readily give it to your children. Because imagine going to GameStop. Imagine you going to GameStop and asking the guy at GameStop, hey man, this don't have the microwave electrical charges, right? Because I want to get this for my kid. Right. That's what type of world we living in right now.
And what's crazy? What's really crazy? Like I said, I didn't watch the video. You just broke that portion down that I didn't know about. There's a movie called Left Behind. I think it's either part 1 or I think it's part 2. Left Behind part 2. And this movie came out. I'm 42 now. I was young at the time this movie came out. I think I was in my early 20s, maybe even teens. This has been 20 years ago. But guess what they had in this movie? VR goggles. And it was a Christian based movie, and it's called Left Behind because Jesus came and raptured everybody up and everybody else went through this tribulation. But then they would put on these VR goggles and they would go in and see Satan, the devil, right? And when they see the devil, they had to choose, to deny Christ or die. And if they didn't deny Christ, he killed them inside of the virtual reality, right? But they really died in real life. And now that you're saying it, and that goes back, because a lot of people say, I got to put my finger in front of the camera so they can see the conspiracy theories, right? That goes back to predictive programming. We see all of these things on cartoons, movies, TV shows, everything else. And then 10 years later, boop, they're right in your face. They exist. Like all
Isn't there a newer movie that just came out? Rogue, something along those lines about the virtual reality.
About that. It's a whole plethora of movies. I mean, you got what's it called? Virtuosity, Player Number One.
Ready Player One.
Ready Player One. Yeah, Ready Player One.
Oh wow.
Man, there's quite a few of them actually.
So they're out now, and then it's a lot more that was one I know of came out 20 years ago. Now it's more coming out now. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised they take this and turn this into some type of execution device or something.
Right. Even the Matrix movie, if you think about it, the last Matrix that came out, they end up staying in the Matrix. It's like you plugged in and you ain't plugging out. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I can see them trying to roll this out on prisoners first, you know, prisoners on death row, so they can have their little reindeer games and watch it and be entertained. Like, you know, they're going to find a way to push this out, because if it wasn't so, why would they create it?
Right.
Why would they make it? What is the use for it?
That's real control. And I know they were actually coming out and saying people were concerned because they're like, people are going to get so caught up in these virtual reality games that they're going to completely neglect their outside lives, and they're going to deteriorate in real life because they're trying to hurry up and race back into these games. I see where it's going.
Right. Wow. Wow. Well,
I was going to say also, they got people selling property in the metaverse right now. So, you know, it's all, right. It all ties in. People spending.
Yep.
There was a report. There was a rape. A woman was raped in the virtual reality game. And I'm like, wow. Yeah, it came out. I was like, oh.
So
yeah,
wait. Did the rapist get like virtual prison time?
I don't know. But she said she was there and they came and they raped her virtually. I don't even know how that works. Don't even want to.
You know what? There's a show on Black Mirror that just reminded me of.
I saw it.
Yeah, so man, they got some capabilities. They got some technology that they now putting all the way out there for the general public. But yeah, it's real.
Wow. That's just crazy, man. Hey, listen, we definitely got to have you back. We got to go into this, right? You got to have you back on here and touch more on that and go into that, because that's interesting to me. You know, conspiracy theory. No. Listen, let's stop demonizing the word conspiracy. Conspiracy is simply something, two people conspiring to do something. And if you look into it or educate yourself on what's really going on that's not popular with the masses, you are demonized or made to seem like you're crazy, and they label you with this thing of conspiracy theorist. That's just to get the people to not listen to you. Stop all the nonsense. But with that being said, we've reached the end of our show. Definitely. Nubreed. Hey, Nubreed, before we get out of here, definitely tell the people where they can find you at, your YouTube channel, your website, any future endeavors you got going on. Fill us in.
Yes, indeed. So nubreed.love is the website where you can get yourself a love note. I have premier merchandising on there. We got Hebrew care available on there for all of your essential needs, such as your, soaps, things of that nature. You can reach me at Nubreed Global Truth via YouTube. Nubreed Music and Motivation as well. I got an album coming pretty soon. It probably will drop maybe mid-March. So I make a lot of conscious music, and I think a lot of people will take a liking to it. You can also find me on Instagram if you would like to give me any sources out here, because a lot of people like for me to evaluate certain sources. You can reach me at Nubreed404 on Instagram. And also consider support me on Patreon, where I can get real candid, live, uncut. I ain't got to worry about certain red tape on these platforms. Patreon.com/Nubreed. Yep.
Well, listen, give me all those links. I got most of them already. I'm gonna put them down in the description of this video. So make sure, you know what I'm saying, y'all go over there, hit those links, check out Nubreed. Hey, listen, y'all think, oh, he just probably do a little music. No, Nubreed is fire. Hey, go check the music out. Nubreed is fire. You know what I'm saying? So he definitely do his thing. So any last words? I'm going to give it to Tiara, then Darash, and then we about to get out of here. Tiara, any last words before we leave?
Absolutely. Real quick, I wanted to hit on something that Darash said when he was talking about the programming. And one thing that we didn't discuss is, yes, they are programming us through the media, but they're also programming us through our food. There's a direct link between a lot of the high criminal activity in our neighborhoods with what we are eating and what they are feeding us. So it's definitely something to consider. That's why poor communities don't have access to the Whole Foods.
Right.
And, so yeah, that's something definitely to think about. Pay attention to what it is that we are consuming, because they know that it affects us mentally. And that's all I got. It was really nice meeting you, and we're looking forward to having you back.
All right. That's what's up. Major information right there. Darash, any last words?
Man, we just appreciate you coming on to the show. I wasn't sure how I was going to go, because, you get into what people refer to as quote unquote conspiracy theories, and it can take a turn. But I definitely appreciate it. It was a lot of great information brought out, and a lot of things that people are going to really have to sit back and think and take into consideration. So hopefully we can have you on the show again, man. It was beautiful.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Last but not least, one more time to my brother Breed. You take us out.
All right. I just like to say, man, it's been an honor to be on y'all show, man. Y'all got some very positive energy. Y'all got that type of energy when you get around it, you don't want to go. You know what I'm saying? Like it's family. I'm bonding with y'all. Y'all bringing a lot of insight. There's a few pivotal points that y'all got me going to go back and research and look up myself. So the Bible tells us that iron sharpens iron.
Right.
And it's been an honor to build with y'all. And I definitely feel sharper after building with like-minded people who actually look beyond the surface and they don't just cast you off as some type of nutcase or a conspiracy theorist. It's an honor to be on, and I'm looking forward to another show. Thank y'all. Peace and blessings to y'all.
Thank you, and we definitely look forward to having you back. And with that, we are out.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining Inside the Nation Radio, your go-to for the latest happenings and the best discussions. Be sure to tune in next time. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button.
Goodbye.